Hey everybody, today I'm going to walk you through a brief tutorial in Microsoft Fabric on how you can copy data from a REST endpoint. So go ahead and waste no time and get right into it. So today we're going to be copying data from the Pokemon API, but first we're going to want to make sure that we set up our workspace. So here on the Fabric home screen, what we're going to want to do is select New Workspace, and we're going to go ahead and give that a name. I don't know, we're just going to call it Pokemon Workspace. Beautiful. You can give it a description if you would like. I'm going to skip over that. I'm actually using the Fabric trial. If you want to use Microsoft Fabric for free for 60 whole days, you can actually go ahead and do that and get used to the tools, see how you like it. So everything else I'm just going to keep as default and select apply. And boom, there's our workspace created. The next thing we're going to want to do is select new item here up at the top. Perfect. And then we're going to want to select pipeline. Go ahead and give this a name. So we're going to say Pokemon pipeline. Very nice. Obviously, for any naming conventions, you're going to want to adhere to what your organization uses. So make sure you just double check that before you go ahead and start creating these pipelines. So next, what we're going to want to do is select the correct copy data activity. For a REST endpoint, you're going to want to select this add copy data activity rather than the add copy job activity. Add copy job is usually a little bit more for when you're copying data from a database to a database or a database to a data warehouse, usually a structured format. But for us, we're going to use this add copy data activity because we're going to have pagination rules and things of that nature. So right here, we're going to want to give our copy data activity a name. So we'll just say, I don't know, copy Pokemon. Very good. And you will see for any of you who have used Azure Data Factory that this looks very similar. It's basically the exact same thing, just packaged within Fabric. It's very nice that you don't actually have to relearn everything. But the next thing is we're going to actually want to go to our source. And this is where we're going to want to connect to our Pokemon API. I actually already have it connected, but just so you can see, we're going to go ahead and reconnect it just so you can understand the process. So I'm just going to select the base URL. I'm going to go to browse all. Sorry, let me go back and make sure you see that. So you click select, and then down at the very bottom, you will see browse all. Go ahead and click that. And this is where you are going to want to type in REST just like you would in ADF or Azure Data Factory. Go ahead and select that, and you can paste your base URL right there. Go ahead and connect that. And that's how you would connect a REST endpoint. Again, very similar, basically the exact same as ADF. And now we're going to want to specify our relative URL. So for us, we are wanting data from the Pokemon endpoint, which is basically just all of the Pokemon names. And once we do that, we can actually go ahead and preview our data. So it'll take a few seconds. So perfect. Now you can see the preview of how this data is stored. So obviously we only got the first 20 Pokemon right here. And you can see that the URL is actually contained in the body. And basically with dictionaries and key value pairs, the field name we are going to want to look at is next. So in order to get all the data, we are going to have to go down to the pagination rules. It may be hidden. If it is hidden for you, just go ahead and expand that. And we are going to want to select absolute URL, body, and then that column name. So in our case, it was next. And then we'll go ahead and preview the data again. Boom. And now you can see this is all the data we are looking for. Perfect. Now, obviously, pagination rules are going to vary depending on the API you are working with. You're just going to want to make sure you go through their documentation to see how their API is structured and how you can cycle through all of the pages in order to get all the data. So next, we need a destination. So we are actually going to create a new Lakehouse. And so just like we added the REST endpoint, we're going to select browse all here at the bottom. And we can actually select Lakehouse right here. If it doesn't show up for you, you can just type in Lakehouse, and we'll just say this is the Pokemon Lakehouse. Beautiful. Very nice. So this is going to create our Lakehouse. And right here, we are going to have to select a table. There are no tables yet in our Lakehouse, so we are going to want to select new. And we are going to say this is a part of the Pokemon schema. Again, make sure your naming conventions align with your organization. And then we will just say Pokemon, I don't know, data for the table. Great. And now for the table action, instead of append, we're just going to want to select overwrite for our purposes. Obviously, this will, greatly depend on the logic or the pipeline you have in place. So maybe if all the rows are going to be new every single day and no pre-existing rows, you may want to select append. A lot of times you will use that upsert method and other data engineering tactics. So that's going to completely depend on what you're working with. Next, go ahead and click the mapping tab, and you're going to want to select import schemas. So that will load, and right here you can see all of the columns that are being returned from the API response. So a lot of these we really don't need, so we can get rid of count, next, previous, and we can just rename the results.name to just, we can say, I don't know, Pokemon name. Great. And then results URL. We may not actually need this either, but just so we don't have a one column table, we'll just call this URL, and that URL will expose the Pokemon's number as well. So it may be useful for when you're trying to get extra information from the API. But yeah, and that's basically it. Before we run this, we're just going to want to validate our pipeline. And we can see that our pipeline has been validated. And then we are going to just select run. Save and run. And it's going to run for a few seconds. So we will speed this up and we'll be right back. All right. Just like Azure Data Factory, we can see the progress of our run, and we can see that it just completed. So now our data should be in our Lakehouse. So you can go ahead and select your workspace here to the left, and we can actually select our Lakehouse right here. And then select the drop down on our Pokemon schema. And you can actually click the data and boom, it will just pop up right here for you like that. If you actually want to query your data, you can actually look up here to the top right where it says analyze with, and then there's an option for SQL Analytics Endpoint. Go ahead and click that. And then you can select new SQL query right here. And this is where you can run your queries to get a good idea about your data. So for us, we just did Pokemon schema, Pokemon data, and then you can press Shift Enter, and that will automatically run, or you can select Run here at the top left. And there you can see our data. So you can see some of the first Pokemon: Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Charmander, and so on. And so that's how you copy data within Microsoft Fabric. If you found this video helpful, if you could leave a like, that would be greatly appreciated. If you're curious about any other types of tutorials that would be helpful for you, please leave a comment down below, and I would love to get to it. Thanks, guys.